it 2 more minutes before we start. Okay, guys, I'm going to get going. Sean, if you could just continue admitting more people if there are any latecomers. I'm going to jump straight into it, and I would just like to thank you everyone for joining our very, very short webinar to introduce the very exciting Insight Bot to you. Just a few housekeeping rules. We will be recording the session, so if you have any issues with that, please just let us know, like in the chat session. Myself, I just want to introduce myself very quickly. I'm Charlene Smith. I am Head of Customer Pillar within Insight Consulting. So I'll be doing a quick intro on the Insight Bot and then be handing over to Sean Gordon. Sean Gordon is a Senior Business Intelligence Consultant within Insight, and he's also the developer of the Insight Bot. So he'll be doing a very quick demo of a few features of the Insight Bot, and you're also very welcome to throw some very complex technical questions at him towards the end. So we'll be doing a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. Your mics are not enabled, so please, if you can, use the chat room to ask any questions, and I'll be picking those up and passing them on to Sean if there are any questions. You're also welcome to contact us via email address, which we'll be sharing a bit later if there are any additional questions. Perfect. So let's get right into it. So I think the very first thing we want to do is to ask, why do we need a bot? If we have a business intelligence tool, why would we need a bot on top of all of that? And I think the answer is quite simple. I think nowadays in the modern society, if we have a question, we need our answers straight away. That is why Google is obviously my go-to, for example. So that is something that the bot enables us. If I'm the CEO of a business and I have a data question, I don't want to be logging into any BI tool or phoning any BI team to answer my question for me. I want to pick up my mobile device. I want to ask the question and get the answer straight away. And that is definitely something that the bot enables us to do. We also want to get data to all the corners of our business, not just the business intelligence tools. So if, for example, I'm a sales rep who is going to go see a customer, and I want to make sure that I am prepared for that meeting. I don't want to go log a request with the BI team to get a report 3 days later. I don't have access to a business intelligence tool, but I need that question straight away. In such case, I can then very quickly use my mobile device or even my desktop and ask the bot the question, ask him some report of this customer so that I can go into my meeting being very prepared and knowing exactly what my customer sales history is. So whether you are a BI, you have access to a BI tool, or whether you don't, we're trying to get the data, questions answered straight away, and also get the data to all the corners of our business. And that is exactly the role that the Insight Bot is fulfilling within our customer businesses. Just to go through a few short facts of the Insight Bot, we developed the bot for mobile. So it's mobile optimized, not limited to mobile. But if you have a mobile device, and I think we're all so dependent on our mobile devices, to pick up the mobile device and start talking to the bot about any data question that you might have straight away. This one is very, very big for me. The bot is product, data source, and product agnostic. So whether you have a business intelligence tool or whether you don't, whether you have some data tool, it is product agnostic. So it's not developed for a specific business intelligence tool. And even if you don't have a BI tool, the bot can still sit on top of any data source, while we still make sure that one version of the truth goes across to BI users and non-BI users, and one is with the bot to make sure that everyone's getting the same answers to their questions. So Sean will be showing you a few features of the bot today, but I want to emphasize that the bot is highly customizable. So we didn't really know what features to show you because it can really do so much. So we will be focusing on a few core features, but like any project, we will come in, understand your requirement, and build the bot according to your requirements. So extremely customizable. Yes, the bot was also developed for mobile, but it works across any platform. So whether you're an Apple user, iOS, Android, but also Windows and Mac, the bot can work across any platform. Real-time engagement, like I said, the society, the times we live in, we have a question, we need an answer straight away. So you can pick up your mobile device or log onto your computer and start talking to the bot and get your answers straight away. No need to wait. And also, if in the case where we don't want to answer, but we want to be notified of a condition that is true. So a trigger is valid, an alert has been triggered. The bot can then also push alerts to us to let us know that something is happening within our business, everything revolving around data. So that, in a very, very small nutshell, is the Insight Bot and a few facts about the Insight Bot. Like I said, you can ask questions at a later stage. We'll try and answer them to the best of our ability. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Sean Gordon, and he will be showing you a very short demo of the bot. Over to you, Sean.
Thanks so much, Charlene, and thanks everyone for joining. So today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be demonstrating some of the features that our Insight Bot can do. And as Charlene has mentioned, there's so much to this bot. So I think the best way for me to demonstrate some of these is put it to some real world examples. And the example that I've chosen is simply just a sales rep that needs to go about his day and make a call based on some information that he's gotten, and be able to show that he has full knowledge when he gets to a customer, as well as be able to perform his role to the best of his abilities, using all the tools at his disposal. So what I'm going to do to demonstrate this is I'm going to use a chat app called Telegram, which I'm going to just, from my phone, I'm just using my phone to cast onto my laptop over here. So we can, let me just make it full screen, and so that we can follow along as if it was a real world scenario. So the first thing that I need to do when I wake up in the morning as a sales rep is to know what were my exceptions for yesterday. What do I need to focus on for today? Those are the big points. And it's always on everyone's mind as they wake up. What should I be focusing on today to hit my targets? So to do that, simply we need to initiate a menu here. So there's two ways of doing it. I can simply type the word menu from my chat here, or what I'm going to do is there's this blue icon next to it and bring up my menu. So you can see that's given me a list of options here, which it changed my keyboard. And the first thing that I want to do is see some exceptions. So I'm going to tap the alerts button. So alerts through the Insight Bots can be delivered in multiple ways. One of the ways is by a button press, which I've just shown you now. Another way could be a time-based trigger, or an event within the data. So when I look at this alert that I've just received, it says I've got no sales for yesterday on these two products in multiple stores. So that's a good indication of, in a sales rep world, that if it's a high selling product and the store didn't have any sales, most likely that store has no stock. Okay, so that's good. That's a good place. It's a good talking point when I get to a customer. It's a nice initiating conversation with them. The next thing I want to know is, how am I tracking against my personal KPIs, my measurables and deliverables that I get measured on a daily basis. So what I'm going to do is select the button corporate KPI. And I get back a report. So I'm just going to turn my phone sideways. It's easier to read this way. And I can see at the top here, how am I doing versus my targets? How much sales have I made? As I carry on scrolling down, I can see a nice trend. How am I doing versus my prior year or against targets for that matter? And then I've got a benchmark showing what are my top products. Great, so now I've got some information about myself as well as how am I doing against my personal deliverables. The next thing that I may want to see is, how am I doing against my region? How's my region doing compared to other regions? So I need to bring back my menu. There's two ways of doing it, which I showed you the first way by pressing the button on the left-hand side here, or I said we could type the word menu, which, remember, these words and these menu items are completely customizable. They can be changed whichever way that we need based on your requirements, the role, as well as whatever the output needs to be. So now I'm going to simply select the word region, the button region, and here I can see straight away how are doing, or my region doing, against the other regions. I can see South Africa is still our top turnover region. That is great. We can see we're doing well against history, but we're down a bit against target. So we got to push in that area. Then what I may want to see is how my categories, or the categories I'm in charge of, how they're doing. So I'm going to select category. And here for this month, I can see groceries are doing extremely well. Across the board, they're beating their target and they're doing very well against their history prior year. But when I get down further in the line, I can actually see liquor is down across the board against target and against history. And the system is smart enough to know that the data that we have, based on the data we have, there was lockdown. There was, in South Africa, there was an alcohol sales ban. And so we didn't make as many sales. So it's smart enough to know that there was an issue within our data for liquor. Now, the next thing I may want to do is see how we're doing against our peers and our colleagues, how they're doing. Because it's always nice to know, am I doing extremely well? Am I hitting all my targets? And maybe what do I need to get into that list? So let's bring up our menu again. Now what I want to do is actually select leaderboard. Now what's happened is it's drilled down into the very next level. So we can actually see the next level underneath leaderboard. So here we've got our total business, which is obviously the whole business as a whole, or Johannesburg Incentive, which is my division. I would like to see whether I am tracking against the best in my region. So let's select total business. Our total business, we can see Bandile and Princess are doing very well here. They got a high turnover and they're beating their targets. So that's nice to see. It's nice to see, where do I need to get to if I can make it within my region, as well as then let's look at my region and see how we're doing. So here we can see Clark and Thandi. Maybe for example, I'm Clark and I'm doing very well. We can actually see that we've got really high turnover. We're doing very well against our target. But we can also go further down in the list and see John, for example, second to the bottom. He doesn't have as good of a turnover, but he's beating his target very nicely. So it's also a nice way to be able to see how we're doing against our deliverables, our KPIs. Then the next thing is, I need to go to my customer. But to go to my customer, I need a little bit more insight into how they've been doing, what's been selling for them, maybe even get an idea of what their buying patterns are. So what I'm going to do is actually search for this customer. So I'm going to search for customer Foodco. So while I want to search for Foodco, let me go back to that, is if I go back to my alerts, the very first customer there is Johannesburg Foodco. So I know that, again, from waking up in the morning, I know there's an exception for that customer. So I can see for 1 liter Coca-Cola that they don't have any sales yesterday. So let's look for them. So let's see how they have been performing, how they've been selling. So here we get a PDF report. So I'm going to turn my screen here so we can see. And along the top is, how is that customer, how's their KPIs been? I'm just going to zoom in on the year-to-date side so that's easier for everyone to read. And then we can carry on scrolling. We can see a nice trend. How are they trending against prior year? Maybe we might even want to see what are the top categories at the moment. So if we zoom in a bit more, we can see what are their top categories as well as their contributions of that category. A nice thing that helps us engage in conversation is knowing what have they ordered. So here, for example, is their last 10 orders, which then we can say, okay, well, there's no Coca-Cola on this list. Well, that makes sense why they've run out. The next thing to look at is we've got their top products, as well as a graphic that shows what is their top products to date. So now we've got some idea of their sales pattern, what they've been up to, as well as what's selling really well. The next thing is for me to go to the customer. I need to be able to know their SLAs, for example, or maybe there's a contract. Maybe there's another report that I can't quite remember the name of, but we've got it in our file directory. So what I'm going to do next is actually search within a file directory for the files, images, SLAs, contracts, reports, whatever it may be for that customer. So I'm going to use my keyword file search and Foodco. So when I do that, now what it's going to do is list all the files within that customer's file directory. So maybe I might want to see, oh, that might be nice to see, is let's have a look at their sales performance. Let's see the trend of how they're doing. So here we go. So now we can see, okay, so here's how they are doing against their performance. Maybe there's a good report that we want to have a look at. So if you look across the top, when I pressed that, it said it was typing. So I know that it's sending me a report. So here's a similar report to the previous one, but it's a lot more in detail. So let's turn the screen again. So here we go. We can see our revenue year to date, as well as the quantity sold year to date, month to date, and week to date. So we can see a lot more detail. How have they been selling? We can go down and have a look at maybe some more trends, similar trends before, but here's a nice cumulative graph to see how are they actually tracking against prior year, some contributions of their top products. Then maybe we want a little bit more detail on this customer. So what we can do is if we look at the report over here, we can see here's some sales by products, some sales by category versus prior year. Then maybe we need some time dimensions. Let's see how they're doing by month. We can actually follow their yearly habits as well as by quarter. And maybe a nice one, depending on the customer, might be to see by weekday, to actually see what is selling on specific days. You could even go down by time, whatever it may be. The next thing we're going to do is now we're actually going to the customer. So now that we're at the customer, we're engaging in conversation and we're going to ask them about the issue of the no Coca-Cola 1 liter. Why didn't they have? Why weren't there any sales yesterday? What was the shop closed, or what was the reason? So they confirmed to us that there is no stock, which is fine for us because that means it's a opportunity for sale. So now the customer says they need it as soon as possible. How much do we have on hand that we can promise to them so that we can make the sale as soon as possible? So they ask about that 1 liter Coca-Cola. So I'm going to say product, and it's a 1 liter Coca-Cola. And then what it's doing is extracts the data, sends it to me, and says, okay, you've made 72 million Rand sales. You're up again. Our sales are growing on previous years, so we know that it's still a good product, as well as we've got 275 units on stock on hand. So I can maybe promise them, let's say, 150 units. So instead of taking on my notebook within the call, we're already on our phone. So let's make a note for us for later. So we want to say note Foodco would like to purchase 150 units, and it's a 1 liter Coca-Cola. And then maybe they we can say maybe they excited by the upcoming products. Perfect. So now what it's going to do is going to actually save that note. So for me, for future reference. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring through a BR tool. In this case, it's Qlik. But the truth is this can be anything. This can be Tableau, Power BI, Excel for that matter. Anything that can connect into a database. All it's doing is it's pulling a table here where I've stored the data. So I'm going to hit the reload button, and it will take a second or two. And then there so there we can say Foodco would like to purchase 150 units of Coca-Cola. And now we can actually see if I spelled correctly, it would know that the sentiment would have been positive because it would pick up certain words within our note to be able to customize what we are saying. So maybe there's a positive or a negative sentiment. So we can know where to focus when we get back to our laptops, when we go back to the office, whatever it may be. So now the big thing is, at the end of the day, we would like to know, how have we been doing? How are we tracking against our deliverables? As well, maybe our executives or our managers would like to see, how is the company performing? So let's say it hits 5 o'clock and most of the sales have been done, most of the calls have been done. How have we been tracking? So what I'm going to do on my side is use a trigger for an alert. And what it's going to do is send to my phone, how have we been tracking? So this is our year to date, our month to date, and our week to date numbers. So we can actually see, how have we been tracking against our deliverables? So that's another way that we can push an alert to a user. So that's basically some features packed into an example of how a sales rep or anyone can go about their day to day. And so, yeah, I think that summarizes a lot. I think I want to hand over to some questions. I haven't been following in the chat if there have been or not.
I'll read out the questions to you. Some very nice ones come through, and you can just answer. So I'll just put you on the spot. The first one, Drickus is asking, can this bot be configured to work on WhatsApp?
Definitely. That's a very good question. So it does work on WhatsApp as well as Telegram.
Next
there
one.
Are some small, a thing we might need to know is there are some small interface differences because they are different tools at the end of the day. But the functionality is 100% can be converted onto WhatsApp.
Perfect. Let's go to Rocky's question. How do you secure the data? Who has access to the bot?
That's a good question. So the data is fully encrypted end to end, as well as any data that gets stored within our database. It's fully encrypted. Then a user can also, it depends on your use case, but a user can access either all data, should that be wanted, or it can be sectional to only their data, or maybe their brands or their region, or however you want to cut it out. Their data can be accessed however you need it sectioned off.
Perfect. Thanks, Sean. Next one is from Samartian. Does the bot query the data natively? Will the DB or model need triggers built as views, etc.? As it's not tool specific, I'm wondering where the modeling layer sits. Cool question.
It's a good question. So this comes down to data cleanliness as well. So if a data storage isn't very clean, obviously we need to structure it and extract maybe daily, hourly, every 10 minutes, whatever it may be, extract the data and put it in a bit of a logical view. It's not usually a lot of work. Most companies usually have some sort of a view that they want to see, or a data model might exist. So we can just backpack off a current existing data model, whether maybe you've done it in a BI tool such as Qlik or a database such as SQL. We can backpack off that.
Perfect. Thanks, Sean. Sorry, let me just see where I was. Drickus is asking, does this require imprinting?
No, it doesn't. So you can use imprinting. That's not allowed, if you want to say it that way. You can extract the data in any way. Qlik has ways to read into Qlik apps, Qlik View apps, or into, it's not Qlik specific. That's the big thing. So it's coded that it can extract data in any other way.
Perfect, thank you. And then there's one last one from Samartian asking, is it linked to Cell or do they need to log in?
Are you asking if it's linked to a cell number?
So will a user be, when they open the bot, do they need to log in, or will it pick up who the user is from the cell phone?
Okay, that's a good question. So it depends how you want to do it. We can have both layers of security as well, so that they must have a cell number as well as maybe your domain email address, which is usually the way we go. So the first time that you log on, it will ask you to send your email address, so your company email address, and then what we'll do is send you a one-time PIN to that email, and then you just send that back to the bot so that I know that it's your number as well as it's on that company's domain. It's an easy way to track and make sure that the data is secure.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sean. Guys, I think that's all the questions. One last one, dreaded POPIA compliant. That's a tough one.
Well, we don't really store any information. We don't store any data. It gets cleared every 30 seconds or less. So I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. We don't store cell phone numbers and names and all of that. So obviously no ID numbers are needed. So I don't think we need to worry too much on that. But we can get into that should you want to go down the road. We can make sure that we're fully POPIA compliant.
Perfect. Then one from Chris. How are the prompts and responses from the bot configured? Do you have like a designer interface to create the responses?
So no, currently we develop the responses in-house. And then based on your requirements, we can go down the road. Should you want a bigger implementation, we can build an interface and put those together. But at the moment, it's not. It's more custom built.
Okay, that's not a question. It's just a goodbye. Guys, 9:30 on the dot. If you have any more questions, we're going to end it here. Thank you so much, Sean, for answering those questions and for the brilliant demo. If you want to contact us, our email address is on the screen, but also obviously on our website. Please feel free to phone or contact if you have any additional questions or you want a private demo if that's necessary. Okay, guys, thank you so much for attending. We'll catch you all soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.